I guess this will fix them. Watch.
What's going on, everyone? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, you may notice that I don't exactly sound too great. A lot of people have been asking me where the heck I've been. Well, super quick, I'll give it to you. It's a two-parter. I apologize that I couldn't put videos out in the past week. Basically, in a nutshell, they needed an extra speaker for one of the Miami conferences, so I flew down. I filled in the spot last minute. While I was down there, of course, you know, there were some parties and stuff like that, so I don't know what happened down there. I don't know if it was just, they had the Art Basel week, whatever was going on. I ended up just coming down with the worst flu that I've ever experienced in my entire life. I've never experienced something this intense, and it was not COVID. I got tested. It was just some kind of a flu going around, and I was pretty much just bedridden for the entire week. I had to fly home early. I could not move. I could not speak. I could barely get out of bed. So just yesterday, I started feeling a little bit better. I got up. I was trying to, just start eating and I tried to go to the gym. I was still a little bit too weak. Today is the first day that I finally feel good enough to start bringing you guys content. So again, I do apologize that I was missing for a week here, guys. Like I said, I have just never felt anything like that, and it was not COVID. I got tested, so I don't know what it was. It's some kind of crazy flu that's going around, and apparently, like, now I'm hearing other people are getting sick as well. So I hope you guys are doing well. It's like I've never experienced any type of illness like that before. I am better now, so I'm here, and I'm going to continue to make you guys videos. Like I said, please bear with me. Understand this wasn't because I wanted to abandon you guys. I literally, my head was killing me. I couldn't move my eyes. Literally, my vision went blurry in one of my eyes. It was absolutely crazy, guys. So I'm feeling much better today. I've been having a lot of soup and, drinking water and stuff. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. Now, I understand that there were a lot of things that we missed over the past week. I can't cover everything that went on, but I do want to highlight some of the key aspects of what happened, right? So first of all, we do have what happened with Sam and SBF. Now, there were a few Twitter spaces, and the question is, did Sam actually kind of accidentally admit to, fraud? Because they kind of caught him in a bit of a circle here, and he did sort of spill the beans without really spilling the beans. Also, at the same time, his ex-girlfriend, Caroline, has been spotted in New York City. Now, everyone thought she was in Dubai and then Hong Kong. Now she's here. It's been confirmed, apparently. Why is she here? Is she looking to rat out Sam? That's a big question that everyone's asking right now. What does this mean? And there are actually a lot of U.S. politicians that are pretty scared about that right now. So we're going to talk about that. I also do want to talk about Bitcoin at the time of this video actually being above $17,000. Now, if you did watch my previous video, the last video that I put out literally 8 days ago, I know, over a week ago, we were talking about having this Bitcoin bounce to around 17,500, right? Now, we technically almost got to that level. We missed it literally by about $60, but this was the move that we were expecting. I am going to go into some very specific, charts, letting you know how I feel about the Bitcoin price. At the same time, I also want to go over the Genesis situation. It turns out that they actually owe more money than we thought. How is this affecting Gemini? Should you start taking your money off the exchange? That's what I want to talk about. And something else that I need to mention, I know lots of stuff, right? It's my first video literally in a week. I want to also talk about, I lost my train of thought here. Oh, December. The futures contracts right now are showing us something that we've actually seen before. And although there is massive negative sentiment right now, like, let's be honest, everybody thinks that the Bitcoin price is going to crash to $10,000 or $9,000. I'm going to actually talk about a similarity and why it could actually be showing us something very positive. And on top of that, there is one legendary trader you guys might be familiar with. He's actually pretty well known for being a Bitcoin bear. He's recently come out and kind of said that he thinks that people are being way too bearish, and he doesn't he literally says that there's no reason that Bitcoin should be below $20,000, even with all the FUD and even with everything going on with the Fed. So we're going to talk about that. If that sounds good to you guys, I know this was a super long intro today. You guys can understand why, tomorrow's video, we're going to get right into it. So that being said, guys, thank you for sticking around. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you understand Without wasting any more of your time, let's dive in. Let's actually start with the charts because I want to talk about the charts. It's been over a week right now. So the first thing that we can obviously notice right here is that we are actually above this trend. So this trend was holding us down. Now this is on the linear. This is not on the log. And if I zoom in right here, right, if we zoom in a little bit closer, you can kind of see that, okay, we missed it, by a couple ticks right here. But ultimately you could pretty much say that we did in fact attempt to get that bounce, and we are in this range, and we almost hit the target of right here around that $17,540 level. And really basically in a nutshell, that was just taking this wick here, dragging it over, and looking at this candle close that we had right here on November 22nd. So if you were able to actually get in that trade from the last time that I posted the video, then you actually should be in pretty decent profit. I know I didn't make any updates, but that is actually where we ended. Now, remember, we were also discussing the fact that these, or well, not this one right here, but this one down here could have been that bear fake out, right? And you could see we came down, we retested this downward sloping trend, bounced off it, we got support again on this upward sloping trend, and I just want to point out that we are now sitting completely above this box. So there is a lot of accumulation in this blue zone, right? If you take this blue zone and you kind of look, okay, we had a little bit fake outs down here, a little bit of fake outs up here, but this is not a fake out, guys. We are actually consolidating very nicely sideways on this, and we are looking to move upwards. Now, the next target to the upside, of course, is eventually touching that $17,550, $60 area that I spoke about. I still do think that we can make another retest. And actually, if you were looking to take that long, believe it or not, that was actually, you could have done that this morning at that level, really retesting this blue zone right here. So as long as Bitcoin can essentially stay above pretty much $17,000 even at this point, I think we're going to be in the clear for a short while. Now, the target that I have after 17,500 is this area right here at around 18,200. And the reason for that is you can kind of see, right? You have this consolidation back here, but then you have all of these touches here, you have this wick down here, and then you have this wick up here, right? So very, very interesting. I'm talking about this yellow line right here. So I really do think that, honestly, at this point, as long as we don't really drop and hold below 17,000 significantly for over a day, then I think at least from this point right here, you're talking about a 6.5% move, roughly up to about $18,200. And then I think we would have to reassess it. Obviously, breaking that confirmation would be, coming down to this level and then falling below 16,300. But as I've been saying, guys, there's way too much bearishness right now. Like, look, I get it. The Fed, the rates, the situation, but you have to understand that at this point, the markets are pricing it in, right? It's not a surprise anymore. The FTX situation, that was a surprise. Celsius, that was a surprise, right? Right now, everyone is very cautious. Everyone is taking coins off exchanges. Everybody knows what could happen. They know what's going on with Genesis right now. They know what could potentially happen with Digital Currency Group. Now, I'm not saying that if Digital Currency Group, for some reason, had to liquidate their grayscale Bitcoin, that wouldn't affect the markets. Yes, it would. Obviously, that would be a forced liquidation, but I think a lot of the negativity has been priced in. And I pointed out here on the charts that you could see that, we actually, for the first time ever on the weekly chart, we're actually putting in, a bullish divergence. Now, keep in mind, it has pulled back. We did have that, move sort of start to play out, but I did want to just reiterate why I was feeling a little bit bullish. Now, let me just throw out the cautionary note right here is that on this falling wedge pattern, which we've literally had here for multiple months, we are in fact coming down yet again at this heart line. And if I zoom in right here, you could see that that's where we're getting that resistance, right? So breaking through that and holding above that, I literally think, I'm not kidding, guys, that we could get Bitcoin back to around $24,000. That is a absolutely perfectly realistic possible target, right? So that is something to pay attention to. However, I did just want to point out that if we are, and actually it's funny because we are actually decoupling from stocks. Now, it may not be the decoupling that people wanted. Of course, everybody would want Bitcoin to pump while stocks were dumping or going sideways, right? We're kind of seeing a little bit of the opposite, but nevertheless, we are seeing a little bit of decoupling. But the thing that is concerning is this downwards resistance that's been holding us down on the S&P. And you can see right here, perfect resistance. I mean, if you were shorting the S&P, that was a no-brainer, right? I don't really trade traditional stocks, but if I was, I mean, that was a no-brainer, short. But keep in mind, right around 39.77 right here, there is that potential that we could break out and catch the bears off guard. That is something to note because we finally have that confirmation of, well, we've actually had it, but I mean, now we really have confirmation on the breakdown of the DXY. And just to come in over here, something else I want to point out is not only have we fallen out of the blue zone, but at the same time, we're also now having this previous support acting as resistance for the dollar. So, I know that there's a lot of doom and gloom. I know there's talks about recessions and stuff like that, but you have to understand there is still very, very big money on the side, smart money that yes, the recession does clearly affect everyone, but let's be honest, who do recessions really affect more? Realistically, historically, of course, I'm sure some businesses get affected, people that don't know how to manage money, but it's usually the smaller guy, right? It's usually lower class, middle class, generally speaking, upper class, the wealthy, the extremely wealthy. They usually can get by in these types of situations, and they're going to take advantage and seeing certain things at these prices, right? They're going to take advantage to manipulate these scenarios. So obviously I've told you guys my targets, not too much to really look at today. Holding above that $17,000 level basically does have us looking towards this $18,200 level. And by the way, guys, if you do want to trade, I just want to let you guys know this week, I actually have a special BitGet promotion. If you guys are interested, on top of the $8,000, there's also a trading volume bonus as well, where you can get up to an extra $10,000. And if you've already signed up under the link, it's fine. It's applicable to you. If you haven't signed up yet, you could check the link below, or you could just go to BitGet and you could just enter this code NYNL, and they'll also apply that to you. Now, keep in mind, this is trading volume, right? So like, for example, it says 100,000. You don't actually have to put $100,000 on, you understand? It's just a matter of trading with different leverage and different tiers. So, you could be doing a 10X with a certain amount. You could trade in, out, and it doesn't matter. You could do it with the same amount of funds and still qualify. So some people think they actually have to deposit that much money. No, that's not how that works. And by the way, guys, as I said, you can't really trust any of these exchanges. I don't really know. I don't trust anyone. All I know is that, BitGet is where I am trading personally, and they do have a proof of reserves Merkle tree, and they do have, their assets that you can check out if you want. Obviously, be careful if you're not actively trading. Don't keep your money on there. I don't want to hear you say, oh, I said trade on BitGet. That's just what I'm using. But, obviously they are attempting to be transparent with their customers. So, take it with a grain of salt. But as I said, guys, if you want those bonuses, check it out below. So had to do a little bit of TA. Hope I didn't lose some of you guys. I know some guys are not really into the TA thing. That's why we do the news as well. So this is what we basically missed last week. So Sam was doing this Twitter Spaces with a bunch of people, and right here we had Rand Neuner, who actually was talking to him and asking him about the the Bitcoin and whether or not the Bitcoin actually existed or not. And you can actually hear, I'll just play this right now. This is actually what Sam had to say. So you can hear it right here. We'll listen to it together.
Because that makes sense as to why there were no more Bitcoin to withdraw, where customers like that I know had Bitcoin balances, because those Bitcoin actually didn't exist, because it was just notional. You were just letting us buy notional tokens that didn't actually really exist.
Yeah, or another way of phrasing that.
Because otherwise you would have had to have the USDC somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I believe that what you're saying is in fact part of what happened.
Okay. So he says, yeah, I believe right here what you're saying is in fact part of what happened. I'm sorry for the bad quality, but it was actually bad quality to begin with. So he kind of admitted right there, essentially, that, the Bitcoin was fake Bitcoin and that they didn't have it. So, I mean, that is fraud. Right? You're saying you have something and you don't have something. So that's part one. Then we come over here, and part two, you have this part where CoffeeZilla actually hopped on secretly. Sam didn't know he was going to be in the interview, and he asked him these questions, to which he essentially also admitted potentially to wire fraud. So listen to this clip right here. And obviously shout out to all these people on Twitter that took the time to cut this up. This is from, Cass. Thank you so much. So here it is.
So where was the position?
It was in a separate stub account, I believe, related to wire transfers that had been sent, to Alameda Research, generally primarily to FTX, having its own bank accounts.
So who controlled the secret stub account? So where was the position?
So here's the thing. What's so shady about this is like literally this guy goes from being, MIT graduate, like prodigy, wonder child, like basically genius, mathematics, physics, all this stuff to suddenly, I don't know. I don't know. Like, how are you a CEO of a company and you don't know how it was run? You don't know where anything is, how, like, and like, how did it become that successful? You know what I'm saying? Just completely randomly by a fluke, right? So many crazy things, they're pumping up the FTT token. They own like 95% of it. And yeah, most of that was obviously not real, right? Just as an example, market cap very easily. Let's say I issue 100 million tokens of something, right? And then I own the majority of the supply. And then I buy one token for $1. Well, the way that market cap is figured out is you would multiply 100 million tokens, right, by the last purchase price, which is $1, which would now say that the market cap is 100 million, but we know that's a lie because I own 95% of it, right? So there's just so many things going on here on top of the fact that we have these fraud allegations. And you may remember this girl, Anna, she had that like Netflix show. She was the one, what did she do right here? The convicted scammer who made a name for herself by defrauding banks and hotels for hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2019, which by the way, I couldn't really watch the show because her voice, like just the way that girl talked, just like really got under my skin. And I guess that's how she really talks in real life. But anyway, scammers calling out scammers. She says about Sam, he's just trying to save himself. That would be his defense. If he is going to get prosecuted, you can see the seeds of that already, referring to the claim that the FTX founder didn't know that Alameda, the exchange's trading arm, was over leveraged, which realistically, like, come on, like, Sam was involved in everything. You can see right here, if you just want some, like, more, like, fuel to the fire, Arkham Analysis flows showed that FTX US in the final few days before the collapse found that Alameda withdrew most of the funds at around 204 million. This was literally days before the collapse. Now, this was only referring to the US arm of it. That's what they were analyzing. But let's be honest. Do we really think it ended there? We know that they had a back door. Now, someone over on Twitter pointed out that they saw Caroline right here in a coffee shop in New York City, right? So Wall Street Silver says the only reason you'd want to come back and risk being arrested is because she already has an immunity deal to testify against Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, Sam has been kind of like throwing Caroline under the bus, saying it was all Alameda, it was them, I don't know what's going on, that was, it was basically trying to put all the blame on them. And I think she's probably had enough of it. She doesn't want to go to jail. So maybe she has some type of a plea bargain and there is something coming out of it, right? Because, they say it would be incredibly stupid for her to come back. The only reason is that her lawyer has an immunity deal or plea to charge with a minimum sentence, right? I don't know. Maybe she's going to do some community, what is it called? Community duty? I don't know what I'm saying. So this is a different angle because at first I was like, this is kind of a blurry picture. So look, it turns out that Autism Capital reached out and said, can you please confirm that this is in fact Caroline? And it turns out that the barista behind the bar right here, one of these two gentlemen apparently confirmed that it was her. Maybe she paid with a card or something like that and had her name on it. And I guess there's a few people that have reached out and said they'd be interested to speak to this guy. I think even BitBoy might be one of them. If you've been following, he's been, very active, and lots of other people ran, and these other guys as well. But we already know the connection. And I do not believe that Sam is innocent personally. I don't think he's innocent. I do, however, believe that he and Caroline maybe potentially were somewhat of pawns in a way, although I still think they're affiliated or not. I do think it goes a lot deeper than just Sam himself. And as we've gone over this connection multiple times between, her father, Gary Gensler, and all this different stuff, the money that was donated to the politicians, Ukraine, etc. So there is definitely something bigger at play here. And, will it ever truly come out to light? I don't know. I hope it does. I don't know enough about it. I only know what I see and what I hear online. But, like Molly Elmore pointed out, she says a lot of U.S. politicians are scared right now. If SBF was arrested and offered to make a deal, would he spill the beans on a large money laundering operation using U.S. taxpayer dollars? I mean, do you think Sam is really the kind of guy that wants to, I mean, can you imagine Sam in jail? I'm just saying, like, have you seen the interviews of that guy? Does he look like the kind of guy that, you know, I mean, maybe they'd give him some kind of special treatment or something like that. But, you know, you had David Joel Katz Schwartz from over at Ripple saying, I have to admit, I thought the world would turn on SBF and friends as soon as their outrageous fraud, shocking incompetence, and mind-boggling greed became clear. I'm completely baffled at the level of success that the concerted whitewashing is achieving, right? For now, right? Until it comes out a little bit deeper. Because don't forget, 8 members of Congress have tried to stop the SEC's inquiry into FTX back in March. 5 out of 8 of them received donations from FTX. And I do believe if we come down here, Bitcoin Archive actually shows you. Now, Warren Davidson is on there, which is very interesting, and Tom Emmer. I don't know how deep this goes. Darren Soto, right? I don't know. You know, obviously, he's claiming he sent dark donations to the Republicans. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. So, you know, obviously I'm tired of talking about the SBF thing just as much as everybody else, but that kind of sums up a lot of what's been going on outside of just him going on his interviews and running circles around answering questions. And really, it's like, it's kind of a waste. Like, like he'll do like a 15-minute interview and maybe like 20 seconds of it are worth listening to. The rest is just him basically mumbling and just completely avoiding the questions or answering questions with questions or saying not to my knowledge, stuff like that. So now let's talk about the situation with Genesis. So it turns out that Genesis, and we already know that they're having issues. They're one of the biggest OTC crypto lenders, loaners in the space. Reportedly, they owe around $900 million to Gemini. Now, Gemini froze their Gemini Earn rewards, right? And now customers who have their funds locked in Genesis have presented that Genesis now cumulatively owes about $1.8 billion to Genesis creditors. The list of companies trying to recover funds from Genesis is rising. Gemini has recently formed a creditors committee to regain the lost funds from the crypto lender and its parent company, the Digital Currency Group. Now, Cameron Winklevoss, who obviously is one of the co-founders of Gemini, a lot of people are saying, should you get your funds off of Gemini? Again, I can't stress this enough. I don't care if you're using Coinbase. I don't care if you're using Gemini. I don't care if you're using Binance or Bybit or Femex or BitGet or KuCoin or whatever you're using, okay? If you are not actively keeping or you're not actively trading, then take your funds off of the exchange, get them on a cold storage wallet. And I think at this point, obviously the Earn products were tempting. Clearly, they don't work. Clearly, it doesn't make sense to get 8%, right? I mean, where are these? I mean, I saw some people offering like 40%, which is just insane. How could you possibly have that? If it sounds, look, here's something that my grandpa used to tell me, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And now we know, don't do these products. And I've never promoted an Earn product ever literally in the history of my entire channel, because I've always found them to be very skeptical. Like, it's literally free money. Doesn't make sense. Now, if you are doing something on a decentralized platform, like let's say you're providing liquidity for a liquidity pool and, there's fees, like for example on Uniswap, then that actually does make sense. Because if you have Ethereum and you have a token and you put it into the pool and you are providing liquidity and you're allowing for other people to swap in and out, but you are the liquidity provider and you're getting a percentage, sure, that makes perfect sense. That's literally how things in the real world work. But when you're just giving somebody money, and then just checking your phone every morning, another 8%, like that is weird, okay? Red flag. But anyway, side note, so he updated this. This was literally this morning. And they say on December 3rd, Gemini formed an ad hoc committee with other creditors to coordinate efforts. Kirkland & Ellis has been engaged as a counsel by the creditor committee to advocate on its behalf. Returning your funds is our highest priority, and we are operating with the utmost urgency to appease lawyers. I must clarify that whenever Gemini is referenced in relation to Earn users, it is acting as an agent on their behalf. This is true for all tweets and messages unless stated otherwise. So what does this mean? Well, it actually means that if you were using Gemini Earn, you probably should have read the fine print, because Gemini Earn, which I have to say was very falsely advertised. It should not have been called Gemini Earn. It should have been called Genesis Earn, but Gemini is allowing you access to do it, basically, because it really wasn't Gemini's really Earn product, really, if you think about it. If you come down here, This guy, a Bitcoin Fly, says, I'm not sure if it's good or bad news. And Omega Chad points out those who didn't stake their coins to Genesis via Gemini are safe. The terms and conditions allow Gemini, highlighting specifically that you risk losing your coins if you stake them for yield. Hence, it is unlikely Gemini would collapse, thus overall still good news. So it is not good news for those using the earn product. It is good news if you're worried about Gemini potentially going under. Now, of course, anything could happen, but judging from this, it just simply sounds like Gemini earn and Gemini are really not the same. And really, Gemini earn was somewhat mislabeled, and it should have just been like, hey, as soon as you use this, you're pretty much working with Genesis. It was false advertising, and I do think maybe that could be something you could look into potentially. But, I do think that Gemini will be all right. I would be quite shocked if they went under, considering that they're one of the only 2 exchanges to actually have to go through the rigorous, bit license process, which is pretty I could tell you, it's definitely pretty intense. Not a lot of exchanges want to go through this. So, like I said, I would be quite shocked to find that out. Also, we have this buzz right here about Twitter coin. Potentially, it looks like they may be getting rid of the Lightning Network payments, which, let's be honest, nobody really used that on Twitter anyway. And as much as I am an advocate for Lightning Network, the way that it was integrated with Twitter wasn't really the greatest. So basically, they were saying that there was like this, code, and Elon was talking about how he's looking to integrate fiat and crypto into Twitter. So I don't know, maybe they're going to have a Twitter coin. I don't really care. Personally, it doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, they might have a Twitter coin coming out. But nevertheless, Elon still is, I guess, I don't know if he's bullish, but he's still a fan, of cryptocurrencies in some capacity. Now, let's talk about what this backwardation means. So December futures contracts, this is what I was talking about in the beginning. December futures contracts are being priced lower than the current Bitcoin spot price. This condition, known as backwardation, is relatively atypical for Bitcoin and is indicative of a large amount of selling activity taking place in the last couple of weeks. Futures backwardation also creates an arbitrage opportunity by buying these contracts, selling spot, and profiting from the difference as they converge by the end of expiration. So why should you care? Why is this important? Well, as Into the Block points out, times where futures contracts are in backwardation tend to align with market bottoms. Not calling the bottom here, just saying, historically. As happened in March of 2022 and May of 2021, a similar trend can be observed with highly negative funding rates. Is Bitcoin bottoming, or is Bitcoin at least having a short-term bottom, in the sense that we do rally to that level around 24,000, 25,000, as I had said? I do believe that is a possibility. Now, talking about Joe, over here, now he's this huge whale, like really big trader. Actually, he did have a bad position though. He did have one position, I remember, where he shorted and he got publicly liquidated for about $20 million. So I'm not saying he's the best trader of all time, but he does have a history of being a big whale trader, okay? And he did have a lot of successful trades. I will give him credit where credit is due. He just had one really bad trade that a lot of people remember. So he says, I rarely discuss price, but the sentiment is currently bordering on ridiculous. Let me say it straight. There's no rational thesis for sub 20K Bitcoin at this point. Fear FOMO ratio got out of whack on the expectations of another FTX level Black Swan event. Unlikely. Act rationally. He says, this guy says, even with the Genesis and digital currency at risk, he says, yes, relatively low. Probability of DCG going belly up is priced in, with subjective probability assigned to it much higher than rational due to fear. Probabilities are hard for humans, I know. And he says right here, prediction, Bitcoin correlation with equities will break in the most spectacular way when you least expect it. He said this back in July 5th. And he said, Bitcoin is coupled with stonks in the same way that it's coupled with shitcoins. There's no rationale behind this other than TradeFi speculator views, and these tourists are all but gone, right? Most of the immediate speculators, the get-rich-quick people, they're out of the space right now, right? And you really, the people that are left are the people that genuinely want to be here. In fact, that was something that I had said on stage when I was talking was, I actually like everyone right now. Not that I don't like, normally everyone, but I don't mind the bear market crowd. I like the people in the comments because the people that are watching these videos, you want to be here. You understand the value and the proposition of this space at this time. And so somebody says, well, does that mean we should buy altcoins? And he says, 1 second, guys, my battery is going to die. Let me just quick swap this out. Anyway, guys, so I think I got to get a new camera or a new battery or something. So anyway, he says, are you saying that we should buy altcoins now? He says, no, I'm saying it's time to forget about shitcoins. There is no reason whatsoever to expect them to experience another bull market, at least their current crop. There are always idiots who fall for new shiny shitcoin narratives. He says, yes, grossly overvalued shitcoins like Ether, Doge present a hurdle for fast Bitcoin recovery. However, there is no rational connection between Bitcoin and shitcoin performance. There is just a fraudulent narrative by shitcoin affinity scammers. It's high time this narrative to blow up. And man, I got to tell you guys, this is something really crazy. So, a lot of people think I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm very close to being one. I do appreciate some coins, and in bull markets, I do speculate on coins and I do make money on coins. I'm sorry. I've always made it very clear on this channel that my goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as I possibly can, and Ethereum as well. But for the most part, the rest of them, I could tell you from experience, guys, in my 7 years of being in crypto, almost every single altcoin, with the exception of a handful. I mean, I can literally name maybe 5 of them that actually survived through multiple bear markets. Most of them just go to zero, or at least lose over 99%, at the end of the day. And, look at the ones that were too big to fail, Luna. And I know it sucks because every cycle there's new people that come in and they say, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. This altcoin is different. This is the one that's going to change it. Guys, show me one. I'm happy. I'm listening. I'm not trying to but show me which altcoin besides really Ethereum, which I don't believe Ethereum is an altcoin. You can make an exception for some things like Cardano. Yeah, I don't know. As far as what they're doing, sure. But price wise, speculatively price wise, most of them don't recover. I'm not saying there aren't teams that are still working on projects, but it's very rare that you ever see those prices recover. So you have to kind of separate the difference between the project, the platform, and the token. If it's usually, and really what you want to look for is layer ones. Layer ones are really what you want to look for. That's where most of the value goes to. And obviously we'll talk about all that again as time, as the time approaches, in the next markets, we'll walk through it. We'll speculate. We'll make money. We always make money on some of these coins. It's just at the end of the day, just look at coin market cap. Just look at it. But time will tell. You could disagree with me now. It's fine. I'm okay with it. I've had hate in the comments before. Just be careful out there, guys. At the end of the day, building that Bitcoin stack. Hey, Thomas, I like Thomas's channel. He's pretty cool. At the end of the day, guys, Bitcoin and Ethereum for me. So, the long term at least. So that's basically that. And I just want to point out Titan of Crypto. He did have a pretty cool chart here, and he showed that if you just simply follow this trend lines that you start from the bottom, it usually peaks out on the next run here, and it's actually worked every single time, including the recent rally, which is pretty crazy. So just to put it in perspective, you have Bitcoin sitting at around 17 right now. That puts Bitcoin at around 170,000, which makes sense because if you think about it, we went from 20, or we went from 1,000 to 20, right? So that was a 20x. Then we went from 20 to 70, right? So that wasn't as much. And then going from 70 to 170 makes sense because now it's 70 times 2 would be 140. So you are getting those diminishing returns. And, at this point, that's a 10x. Now, I know that a 10x doesn't seem like a lot to you, right? A 10x isn't going to make me rich. Well, okay, maybe not in the next cycle, but it still shows that Bitcoin continues logarithmically over time. And I don't think, like, I mean, do you guys really think the Fed is not going to pivot? Do you really think, like, how long, we've gone over how long traditional recessions last, right? I did that whole thing with Altcoin Daily. You guys watch that video. If you didn't see it, go back and watch my video. Just Google Altcoin Daily Crypto Zombie. Watch the video that I did. You know, why would this be any different? I mean, the 1930s were it was like basically the worst depression recession of the entire US history. I don't think we're going to get that now. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we move faster. I think the Fed's going to find themselves in a position and they're going to have to pivot. And, you know, I came over here to this pricedinbitcoin21.com. It's a pretty cool website. And it basically prices different commodities and goods in Bitcoin, you know, over the past few years. And, you know, you could see that, yeah, it may be short term, you know, some things are doing well, but like long term, you know, this column right here, you can see that everything eventually ends up dropping currency wise. Forget about it. You know, oil, you know, gold actually. So this is actually kind of interesting. Gold, 14% over the past 5 years, but 3 years ago it was down 45%. So, I mean, obviously we know the cycles that Bitcoin goes in. It's actually pretty cool. You can go over to parity right here too, and it shows you like how close Bitcoin is to the market cap of silver, the Fed's balance sheet. It's just pretty cool. So yeah, Bitcoin's got to catch back up to silver. I do think we'll end up getting to that point, but that's it for me today, guys. I think that's enough. This is probably my longest video ever. Some of it was a rant. Some of it was me talking about stuff, but it's been a week, you know, so I missed you guys. And I won't take up any more of your precious time. Thank you so much again for subscribing. Tomorrow, we're going to get into a lot more nitty-gritty details. I just had a lot I wanted to cover today. There's a lot of things happening. I do believe there are a lot of opportunities still for trading. And, you know, we were looking at, you know, a potentially higher price by the end of the year. Obviously, we only have about 25 days until the end of the year. So, you know, are we going to hit some of these crazy levels? Well, we might have had a chance because, I mean, if you have a look at what we were doing here on the S&P, you know, the S&P has had its nice rally back up to its, descending, broadening channel top. Bitcoin, however, let's be honest, we got hit with Celsius and Voyager, Luna, FTX, you know, it was so many things on top of each other. You could not have expected it, but you do have to wonder, is this a double bottom, and are people just freaking out right now? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know, are you bullish? Are you bearish? Are you selling? Are you buying? Are you panicking? Do you not care? Let me know what you think. I am back. I'm feeling better, guys. Expect me everywhere. Make sure that you guys also, I don't know if you could see this on your mobile, but right here above me, you can actually follow me. I have, Twitter. I just started using more TikTok, and I will start using Instagram. Although I don't really know who uses Instagram, but if you guys are interested, that's a place you can also check me out. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Next time, this video will not be as long. I love you. Get subscribed. We got massive content coming out and lots of opportunities for making money. I told you guys that we were getting way too bearish, and we literally missed our target by like $30 or $60 literally, and I still think we're going to hit it at around 17.5 with the next at around 18.2 with a possible ultimate target of 24,000 before we need to reassess the charts again. So if you are interested in learning how to trade, there is like literally now $56,000 worth of bonuses below in the description. And if you want to get a Ledger Nano S, check that out and check out the trading tutorial, and make sure you get subscribed. Follow me. I love you. You guys are awesome. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.